Hi, welcome to update 2.0 of Smart Traffic Light. In this tutorial I will show you how you can set up easily such a beautiful traffic light here, which is fully functional, and this presents a basic traffic light. In the next tutorial, following this part here, I will show you how you can set up intersections, like with multiple traffic lights and multiple lanes, and for example also pedestrian traffic lights or pedestrian traffic lights with buttons, which are also of course fully functional, and here also of course basic intersections. So let's start. First of all, please make sure to update to version 2.0 or higher if you have already a higher version, and thanks for purchasing. I show you the traffic light in the Road Essentials demo map because we have here a wonderful junction or intersection. I click on Content Drawer and we open the Smart Traffic Lights folder. We have two interesting folders here, blueprints and meshes. We go into meshes and add a pole. I start with SMTL pole 1. Now I click on Content Drawer again. We go to the blueprints folder and here we have a couple of blueprints, yeah, but you can mostly ignore them because these blueprints here, for example, are completely deprecated and only existing in this project here because some customers just want to use version 1, so they don't have to replace in their whole game the traffic lights, yeah. So on the other hand, we have here BP traffic light, which we will use today, which is a default traffic light. You will use this every time, yeah. Then we have BP traffic light pedestrian button, which I think you know what this is. This is the thing you can add to your pole and then you can switch the pedestrian lights. Then we have BP traffic light actor. You can completely ignore this blueprint here. It's just a master blueprint for the traffic light here. And then we have BP Traffic Light Manager, which helps you to create intersections. New blueprint, you can ignore this. I don't think you have new blueprint in your project if I don't did something wrong. So we add BP Traffic Light here to our pole, just simply drag and drop, and we rotate it, and yeah, like this, that it fades the road and the driver can better see it. This is our wonderful traffic light, and you noticed a 0 above the traffic light, and this is fine because this 0 is our traffic light ID. We need this in later tutorials for identifying this group of traffic light. So we have this wonderful traffic light. When I simulate now the game, we see it's already working and it's green. So the default state of the traffic light is green. We switch to yellow and now to red. This is working. We open now on the left or right side of the screen. I don't know where you have your one, but I have my details tab here on the left and I pin it here. So open your details panel and it should look like this if you selected your traffic light. We start with basics. Basics is very easy and of course basic setup of your traffic light. For example, we have the type which tells us or takes the blueprint. Do you want to use a 3-lane traffic light or for example 2-lane traffic light or 1-lane traffic light? Yeah, these ones here are mostly used on crosswalks. I was looking for the word, on crosswalks where it just blinks, for example, yellow. We will simulate this later, but let's start with 3 lenses. By the way, I do later a tutorial where you can, or how you can add multiple lenses, or for example 4 lenses, 5 lenses, or even 6 lenses. The debug states helps us to identify directly errors. For example, I forgot something to add in this blueprint here. For example, down below here a lens symbol or something like this, and this debug state will tell us where the problem is or help us to find the problem. If you don't find the problem, don't hesitate to ask in Discord. Link is down below in the video description. Now we have the color style. I think you understand what this means, and by the way, you have always these wonderful tooltips here, and we can set up here a different color like orange, or for you US users we have also yellow like this one or this one. I prefer this one here with a black front and the yellow back, but also of course the default green one. At least for Germany we use green, black, or sometimes Beige here. So I set this to default, and then we have the lens style. The lens style is very nice to set up because we start now a wonderful traffic light, and we see here that we have such a digital pattern here. And that's fine, but this is not the thing I want to use. It depends on your country. We have digital A, B, German 1, 2, Netherlands, old and old B. We have, of course, dots and default. For example, I think when you're a UK user, you can set it on dots, and I think this is how traffic lights in the UK, for example, from the lenses perspective, looks like. Okay, now let's continue. You can set up the lens style with these drop-down menus, and the default light state, I think you know what this means. We can disable the traffic light by default, set it on blinking, green, yellow or red. When we scroll down now, we have additional meshes we can spawn. So for example, we can add holders. They are here by default. And now we can also set up use real light, which is very easy to understand, because when I start it now, you see that it's blinking, or maybe it's just easily working. But when I say now, hey, come on, use some real lights, it looks like this, and this is really nice if you use it for cinematics or also games, because this is optimized, so don't fear any real performance issues with a real light. But it's also nice if you use volumetric fog or something like this, because you really see your traffic light then. So, okay, now we continue with use custom meshes. This is nice if you have your own mesh, for example, like such wonderful static mesh here. You can add your own one. I do a tutorial how you can set up already, I don't know, ready to use traffic lights and so on later. Now we have the option to use international settings. For example, when we follow, or I start with a different way, I set the default light state now to red. And now we look how the traffic light is working, because now at the moment it has a German setup. So we have red, then we have red yellow, and then we have green. So for example, in the US we don't have the red yellow phase, we just have red green. And when I click on use US settings, we can set this up: red, green. It's working, perfect. And we have also the Austrian settings. So the Austrian setting means that we have the German settings, but when the green phase ended, it's blinking. I don't know why it is like that, but it is like that. So you see we have the green phase, and before it starts turning the signal, it blinks, because this is how Austrian traffic lights are working. So on the other hand, we have here the option to use horizontal lights, which are specifically nice if you have, for example, tunnels, or you're in the US or you are in Switzerland. So now it turns, and we turn the traffic light on or to 90 degrees. Perfect. And when I press simulate, everything is the same as before. Everything is working. Perfect. Now we have the config tab. The config tab is very interesting because we can set up a lot of stuff here. We have the default light intensity, which default value is 10, set to 10. And this controls the light intensity of the lenses here. Then we have override lens symbols. We have here at the moment 3 entries because we have 3 lenses. If you have 2 lenses, you have only 2 entries. If you have 1 lens, you have 1 entry. And if you have, for example, 15 lenses, you have 15 entries. So for each lens, an entry. The important stuff is to understand that index 0 is always the bottom one. Index 1 is the middle one, and index 2 is the topper one. If you have 4 traffic lines, 0 would be the bottom one, 1 and 2 would be the middle 2 ones, and 3 in this case would be the topper one. We can set up here multiple masks. So for example, that the traffic light tells the driver, yo, this traffic light is only for the right direction. We press on no mask and set it up like this. Arrow, for example, right. You set it on every lens here to right. You can, for example, say, okay, the topper lens has no mask, so nothing will be displayed. For example, I simulate now the game. You see at the top is nothing, but in the middle and bottom is now a wonderful right arrow. So I set it here also to right, and when we start again, we start with this wonderful arrow. This one here, the topper one and the middle one is inverted, while the lower one is, the default normal mask. This is because, at least in Europe, mostly this is a pattern, or these are the mask logic of our traffic lines. We have multiple options here, for example arrows, cycles for bicycles, for example, pedestrian lights, then we have bus traffic lights, with also speed limits, we have tram lights, and yeah, that's it. Mostly everything you can find. Then we have lens unlit color and lens lit color, which, I think, as I said, you know already what this is. So the unlit color are the lens colors you can see later here. For example, when I press simulate, you can see here, maybe when I do it like this, you can see here clearly a green color, the red color, and here also the same red color, because these colors are the same. At least I set it up like this. You can see these are here the same. When I would change this to, let's say, yellow, and I press play, then we have here the orange color. So the unlit color is, of course, the unlit color of the lenses, like the name indicates already. The lens lit color is, exactly what you think now. For example, it starts with red, so let's turn the red here just to, let's say, blue. Yeah, why not? And we press play, and now it's blue. Very nice. Okay, I undo this. So just noticed, these entries in the category config has to match the count of lenses. We have 3 entries in each category here because we have 3 lenses. If you have only 2 lenses, please delete with arrow below here the entry, the specific entry. Okay, and also remember, 0 is every time the beginning from the bottom to the top. So bottom, mid, top in this case here, yeah? Okay, now you learned the most interesting stuff. We have the smart intersection system, which just says, hey, does this traffic light controlled or getting controlled by a manager blueprint? Yes or no? You will see this in the next tutorial. At the moment, no. Also, you can see a set up the ID, but yeah, you will see it in the next tutorial. Here you can see also an interesting setting. It's called traffic detector. You can set it up like that your emergency vehicles, which for example turned on the emergency lights, will contact the traffic light if they get in contact with the traffic light, and this will enable that when you drive here, the wonderful traffic light in your specific direction will turn green, while every other wonderful traffic light will turn red. In my case here, this will not happen. Only this one here will turn green, because we don't use a managed intersection, and this is why only this one here will turn green, while every other traffic light which is not connected to this one here will not react. The same way you can do it with a tram. So if you have a tram which I don't know, rolls on the rails, then you can set it up with an actor tag. I will show you this in a separate tutorial. And when the trams comes to the street, every traffic light in the intersection, for example, or every single traffic light will turn red to stop the traffic that the tram can pass through. So now we have here also the durations. As I said, this is content of another tutorial, and we have is pedestrian light. This is maybe also interesting if you use managed intersections, because we can, for example, duplicate this blueprint here. We can turn it a little bit like my mouse, so like this, and now we put it here on the pole. I scroll up and say now here under basics, I want to use a 2-lens traffic light, and yes, I also don't need the contrast panel. And then under config, we have a 2-lens traffic light. Do you remember? Yeah, we have to delete entries. So I delete index 2, for example, delete. Then I delete index 1 because I don't need the yellow color. Then I delete lens lit color. index 1, and now everything should work, but we set up the override land symbols to pedestrian. For example, we have here pedestrian go 1, this is a classic one, and the bottom one, wait, let me check, index 0 was green, so index 1 is the topper one here. This has to be set to pedestrian stop. So, okay. Do you want to test it? Yeah, you want to test it. I want to test it too. So while our traffic light is red, our pedestrian light is green. Very nice. And this will switch, you see? No problem. Now you set up a very simple traffic light, which you can use on a one lane road, for example, because, yeah, of course, we can mirror this. I just copy and paste it. We paste it like here, and then, bam. We can just mirror it by, yeah, change the faces. But here you can see this one here is red, this one here is red, and green, green. Now it's red on both sides, and we have here green, while, as I said, the pedestrian light is red. So, okay, in the next part I will show you how you can set up a wonderful intersection system, which is, I think, the most interesting part of the whole stuff here. And the most stuff here is very easy to understand. But if you have problems, you can easily contact me via Discord. I have a Discord server, a Discord support server. For example, this one here, DefconNetwork. You just go to Smart Traffic Light and ask your questions here. So, have a good day. Have fun to using this plugin or this asset pack here, and I hope it helps you to improve your project and to speed your development process a little bit up. See you!